Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how.
Having a hell of a time doing it.
Laughing every step of the way.
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture.
Welcome back to Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
This video is my favorite.
I
love it.
This is one of our favorite places. And our time is limited here.
I'm gonna cry. Let's not. Is this a crying episode? Do we start the tears now with the canyon closing?
I'm not to the crying part. I'm at the anger part right now.
Your mourning. What is it? No, what is it?
The 5 stages of grief. Something like that. Is that? Yeah. I'm at the anger part. I don't know which one that is, but that's the one I'm on.
You're probably doing it out of order because you don't do what people want you to do in the right order.
True.
So we got news on Facebook. So obviously it's true that they're closing the canyon off. That they close off during the winter time. That they're closing them off next weekend, and so we're having a hard time with that.
Right. That's
the struggle.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, what are we talking about today, Julia?
We wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of how Satan's lies and his voice and his whispers, a lot of times are masked as our own.
Yeah, because I had a day yesterday.
Tell us.
I had a day, like, it's so weird how just I went through my day and nothing hit me hard, but all of a sudden I realized that my chest and my throat and my head were all in a weird constraint is the only way I could explain it.
Okay.
Everything felt constrained.
Mm-hmm.
And all my thoughts were negative.
Mm-hmm.
And they were negative about my body. They were negative about the man that I'm dating. They were negative about how people viewed me. Like, it was just like nothing but negativity about me. Mm. And I was like, this is, and I spiraled in that space.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. I can't take up space here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I needed to voice an opinion with this man that I'm dating. And I was like, I can't take up space here. I don't have the right to do that. He's not going to respect that. He doesn't care. And then I had issues with my body image, and I was like, nobody likes this body type. Everybody thinks that this is not attractive. Julia's so much prettier than me. If anybody, I'm going to bring this boy home. He's like, forget you, I'm going to date Julia. I'm like, one, she's taken. He's like, don't care. Like I'm not kidding. This is what's happening inside my head. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like in Inside Out, all of those characters get replaced with Satan. And he is running all of them. So we have a Satan anger. We have a Satan joy. I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Is it like Satan and then like minion Satans all over?
I don't know. I just pictured all of the Inside Out characters, only Satan versions. And this is why even with Joy, because what was happening is he took my voice and he started speaking thoughts in my head using my voice, using my little Joy character. So I sat there and I was just like, every thought had negative darkness in it. And he was running the control panel.
How long did it take before you realized?
Well, because he was masked as my own voice, it wasn't this smack in the face, everything was dark. So I'm looking back my day and I was bouncy and I was happy, but I just kind of noticed. I'd look in the mirror like, oh, that's kind of gross. Or this man texted me and I had to answer a question and I got really like, oh, triggery and like, I can't voice that. I don't get a space. So it took most of the day before I realized. I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing?
And I think that's a really important point right there.
Yes.
More often than not, when Satan is speaking into your life, when he's speaking lies, he's not jumping up and down with a big old red flag. It's little whispers throughout the day.
Yes, it was quiet. It was small. There's so much. I love the analogy of a frog in a pot of boiling water. So you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it's going to jump out. You put it in a lukewarm and turn up the heat, so it'll boil itself to death.
Did somebody actually do this and try this? I'm just curious.
Probably a boy.
Probably
Thomas.
Don't tell this story to our sons.
Nope. We're not going to. So that's what it feels like, because it's like you're doing all of these things and you're just going about your day, and all of a sudden I kept thinking about how I was bad at my job. I'm bad as a mom. I'm bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
It took until later in the day, like 3 o'clock or something like that. My kids were already home from school, and I was like sitting there going, all of a sudden I'm thinking about all these negative things about myself. And I've worked very hard to not be in that space. So I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So how does like, what are your experiences? How does Satan do that in your life? Does he speak? Like, does it take a full day for you? Like, wait a minute, or are you a little bit more on top of things?
No, I mean, it can definitely take time. It can take a full day. It can take days. It can take weeks sometimes. It just kind of depends on where I'm at in life. And I think that the busyness of the world and what is physically in front of our eyes, as far as single parenting and school and chores and jobs and money and bills,
So
are
the pressure
all
to be on all the time?
Right. So that when we have those little whispers and thoughts, we don't take them captive and make them obedient to God's word like we're supposed to.
Okay.
Because we're so busy that we have this little whisper, and it's almost like we hear it and we're like, oh, gotta go cook dinner.
Yeah.
Right? Or we hear it and we're like, oh, gotta go pay this bill. Or right?
Because it's quiet and it's in the back, we're not giving it a ton of attention, but it's taking hold.
So then it's almost, all those little lies and whispers are almost, I see like bricks being built.
But little tiny ones.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned being busy, because I talk to people and I'm like, how's your day? Like, oh, it's busy. And I'm like, I hope people realize that busy isn't good. We're not meant to be busy.
I'm so sick of the
busy isn't mean
hustle
good.
culture.
It's not good.
No.
We don't have to be on all the time.
We weren't made to.
No. So how do you combat that?
I think the most important thing is that we need to be on offense, not defense, not only defense when things come in, but we need to be on offense, meaning that spending time with God in the morning, giving him my first part of the day, whatever it looks like for that day. And I don't want anybody sitting here thinking I'm spending, 2 hours with God every morning.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be so nice. But my life is not conducive to that. It can be as simple as a quick 2-minute prayer.
Yeah.
Different mornings look different for me.
Well, I really think that God looks at intention so much more than action. If he sees that I have so much to do, I don't want to be busy. I want to sit here and be with you, but I'm making you a priority. He could take the effort of 2 hours and be like, your 10 minutes is just as valuable as 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But taking that time in the morning to position my heart to have God's truth written on my heart and my mind and my soul before the day begins, before those lies and whispers come in, help me to be more on the offense. So when they come in, I'm more in tune to be able to recognize them.
Like, so instead of going, oh, this negative thought's been here for a while, it bounces right off. So we talk about the armor of God. And so every morning you're putting that armor of God on intentionally. Okay.
But again, it's as simple as just connecting with him.
Yeah.
And some days that looks like reading my Bible and praying and a worship song. And other days it's a 2-minute prayer before a really busy day.
Okay. I love that. I love the flexibility.
Connection.
I like that flexibility.
Yeah, because if you are constantly only on defense all the time, you're going to get taken down. You're going to get taken down. You've got to plan.
It's exhausting.
Offense. Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that's great advice, because there's so much that connecting with God in the morning does, and that is a one I don't think I've thought of as being a shield to the world.
Because there's a Bible verse that says, the devil walks around like a roaring lion looking for people to destroy.
Yeah.
Right? And so he's already on offense.
Yeah. Okay.
You get to choose whether you start your day on offense or on defense.
I love that. I really do love that. Okay, so if something gets in, let's talk about what we do when stuff does get in. So if we're on offense, but stuff slides in, what are we doing about it?
I personally really need to audibly out loud say whatever it is that's in my mind, whatever the lie is, whatever I've heard, and then speak truth and light over it. But I have to do it out loud. For me, it has to be out loud. I cannot do all of this in my head, because then those lies still, for me, have power in my head. There's some kind of, I don't know what it is. There's energy, there's power behind actually saying it out loud.
So we talk about bringing things to the light and
Yep.
how important that is. And I think that's what it is. Satan, he flourishes in isolating us.
Yes.
He flourishes in making it feel like we are the only one going through hard times.
Mhm.
He flourishes in making us feel like we're a burden by having people to talk to. Because
Right.
sometimes saying it out loud to God and to Christ works well for me, but sometimes I need to be heard by a human. Not that they're not
Absolutely.
human. You know what I mean? By someone
Right.
physically here next to me. I
Mhm.
need to feel seen and heard by a person. And but he makes me feel like a burden. Satan's whispers are, you can't talk to people like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like for you and I, and we talked about this on the way up here, I am very careful with what I bring to you because your time is very limited with 6 kids and all the extracurriculars and things like that and homeschooling. I don't want to just sit there and talk your ear off about stuff that I can do on my own. And that's good for me to recognize that because that keeps me out of codependency.
Right.
And it makes it really intentional with, I need to talk to Julie about this, or this can be taken care of with another friend or with just myself and my car and God and prayer. So that practice has been a very interesting, that figuring that out has been very interesting to me. But if I let those lies, I wouldn't talk to you about anything. I would stay isolated and then those thoughts would just stay because I didn't bring them to light and I would stay isolated. And it's incredible what just a conversation or just saying it out loud sometimes can be, that's all you need.
Absolutely. That's something that I have struggled with is isolation, but also I do it to myself.
Meaning like you choose it yourself? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you've seen that plenty of times where I can get in if I get into a really hard place, isolation is like almost my first go-to, but not even consciously, just subconsciously, like I'm immediately going to pull back from everything and everyone.
Yeah.
Which is right where Satan wants me.
For sure. There was a day that you were having a hard time and you came to me and you said, I need you to check on me because I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
And the reason that was really important is since you had started your relationship with your boyfriend, I backed off because you had a partner and I assumed that you were talking to him.
And he assumed that I was talking to you.
Exactly.
And I was like, perfect. Nobody knows.
So, right. And so we both expected that the other person's got you. And so you took a moment and you said, hey, just so you both know, neither of you taking care of me and it's my fault because I'm not telling you.
Yes.
So I need y'all to check in on me. And I thought that was really like a good growing and that was very big of you. And that was such an important thing. So good job.
Thank you.
But that's hard, right? Because I'm sitting there going like, she's got her boyfriend. She's fine. If she's not coming to me, that's because she doesn't need me. And I don't need to force myself into her world. Again, not trying to be codependent.
Right.
I have to remind myself, she's picking me. She picks me every day. It's fine. I don't have to force myself. I don't have to add value to her life. She likes me the way that I am.
Absolutely.
So yesterday when I had all these dark thoughts, sometimes my isolation or the way that Satan keeps me in that space is he makes me feel like healing that is going to be a big deal.
Oh, okay.
He makes it like, I'm going to have to go and read all these books. I'm going to have to go pray. I'm going to have to go do energy work. I'm going to have to go talk to my bishop. Like big, heavy things.
Stars are going to need to align.
Yes.
I'm going to have to write a book. It's going to,
Yeah. The hungers need to be like solved for children all over the world.
Right.
Then this can happen.
Right.
When in reality, again, because of the relationship I have with God, I'm able to pray. And he said, go just send Kaylee a Marco Polo. And I did. And as I'm talking to her about it, I was processing. And you were just mentioning how I'm a very verbal processor.
Yes.
And not like, oh, this is what I processed, this is what it is. I'm literally figuring it out right now as I'm talking sometimes in circles. And so as I'm speaking these things out loud, I was just like, oh, I can't take up space in this relationship. Like he's not going to respect this or he's not going to this. And then I'd be like, absolutely not. And if he doesn't, this is not my person.
Right.
So I can immediately, like just bringing it to light, I said it and I could feel the lies. I'm saying it like, this is not true. Half of my sentence, I'm going halfway through my sentence. I'm like, this isn't it. I'm going, you are not attractive. You've got this lumpy stomach and these love handles. No one's going to want to be with you. You are not like, men don't find this body type attractive. And I could be partway through and I'm like, absolutely not. I find this body attractive. right? Or I'm talking to Kaylee. I'm like, I know Kaylee immediately will be like, are you talking? Are you, you're hot as hell. Like, I know she's going to say that. So I'm saying all these things that have been floating in my head all day long out loud. And it doesn't take long before they touch light. And I'm like, oh, that's not it. That's not it. And I think my favorite part about that is I've been doing this so long that I didn't even recognize that my processing that was all I needed until Kaylee jumps on Marco Polo with a return video. And she was like, watching you process is so interesting. She's like, it is one of the coolest things because I'm watching you solve all your problems. And she's like, I physically am watching your whole demeanor change. Your body changes, your attitude changes, and you already look lighter. And I was like, oh, I don't have to write a book. I don't have to solve word hunger. I don't have to do really big things for this to heal. Like, that's all I needed.
Sometimes it's just as simple as bringing it to the light.
Yeah.
But I love that you just saying it out loud, immediately you knew it wasn't truth. It knew it wasn't true. And the reason that is because you are so aligned with God and God's word that the minute you have a lie hit you, you're going, that doesn't line up.
Right. And that does take a lot of work. But that's where I'm just, sometimes when we come across healing stuff, I want to be like, nope, this is too hard. I don't want to do it. Right. But then I forget that this is a muscle that we're working. And that's going to make the hard stuff that we do later easier.
Right. And then sometimes it's deload week and it's just easy.
Yeah.
You know?
I am deloading. This is great. But it also makes it where when I do come across hard stuff. So we had posted a podcast several weeks ago about some of the hardships of me dating and how I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And not because he's not awesome or not somebody I want to see where this goes, but because this healing is really exhausting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do the healing anymore. It doesn't take long for me to be like, no, that's not. It's worth it. It's totally worth it.
It is.
I don't want to stay here. This is unfun. And then I got to enjoy life. And so I think that I love your advice of being on offense. I think that's amazing. And then I love the idea of just bring it to the light. Don't isolate. Recognize you're divine and just keep moving. Always be healing because it just it makes some of the stuff not so hard, even though he makes it feel like it is. Right? Any last thoughts?
No, I mean, I think this is a really good episode. And I can even, as we're talking about this in podcasting an episode about it, in my brain, I'm already thinking you and I both need to start speaking. For one, we trust ourselves.
Yeah, I need to do way more of that. You've been saying that a lot lately.
We trust ourselves.
And I immediately am like, I don't trust myself. And that right there, I think, is Satan keeping me in not trusting myself. So I appreciate you doing affirmations because we teach our kids affirmations. I don't do them myself. I teach my kids to do them. But I'm like, you don't need them. You're not dumb. You're too dumb. It's fine. We're fixing it. So I appreciate you correcting me and telling me that you trust yourself. I'm like, no, I don't. You're like, well, you do.
You do.
Okay, Mom.
You're smart. I'm just going to start sending you, instead of good morning, I'm going to be like, you trust yourself. You are wise.
You're beautiful.
You make good decisions.
You're brave.
Yes. I love it.
I'm going to, you know what? I got to maybe go back. I think I need to go back to the basics. I'm going to get on my mirror, write some affirmations. I'm going to say some every day because I got out of the habit.
Yeah.
I want to get back to it.
You are a sexy goddess.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, queen.
We already know that. Never mind. We should move to gratitude.
Let's be grateful for stuff. I am grateful for the things that you have taught me in the healing journey, for the space that you give me, for the tactics and the ideas that you give that are outside my perspective that have been things that slingshot me into positivity, and for giving me the space to be ugly and raw and then correcting those thoughts and being like, you may feel that, but that's not true. I am so grateful for those words because a lot of times when I'm in the darkness, it's other people's words I hold on to, and you're one of the loudest, and I appreciate that.
You're so welcome.
I accept that.
I receive that.
I receive that.
I am really grateful that God is really teaching me that things are not black and white. The majority of things are not black and white, meaning that I think it is this human experience is so interesting and so cool, and there's so many different perspectives. I think that growing up, I think that being in some of the Christian churches that I was in had me feeling like the world was really black and white, or that rules were black and white, or that everything should be this way or that way. And I think it's so interesting to listen to people and hear their stories and their healing and their growing. Like hearing your perspectives on things, it just like it opens up my world to be like, yeah, that's so cool. Hearing my boyfriend's things that he's walked through and hearing his perspectives on healing and situations and beliefs, I'm like that. It just opens up my world, and I'm going, this human experience is crazy.
I love other people's perspectives. It's one of my favorite things. I'm like, disagree with me.
Yeah.
Push that boundary.
Yes.
I want to hear other options because I think I'm fine, but I am not I'm not right about everything.
Yeah.
So show me how I can learn more. I love it.
It's just learning experiences, and I don't know. I just think it's so cool.
It is really cool. I'm with you on that one.
It's so cool to be in a place where you're open, and I want to be clear. I know what I believe, and I'm really strong and firm in what I believe on the big things, on the really big things. But getting to hear other people's beliefs, getting to hear their perspectives on things or how they've experienced things or what it meant to them. It's just so cool.
Well, not to go off on a tangent, but for me, perspectives either make me go, no, I believe in this even stronger because I've looked at it from another angle and go, no, I still agree I think that my way is, or this topic, I think that what I think is more aligned with me, and that digs me deeper or opens me up to like, maybe I could have some space for adjustment. And it's not black and white. It means maybe I just scooch a little bit towards your way and go, no, that makes more sense.
Right.
So I love perspective because I think it either moves you to growth or it moves you and being like, no, I'm real strong with this.
Right.
This one I'm real strong with.
Right.
And I love it.
I think it's so cool.
Okay. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
Come join us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get a sneak peek into our lives.
It's beautiful, chaotic, crazy, and fun.
What else would you expect raising 10 kids?
All the links you need are in the show notes.
See you next week.